Joining us now, E.W. Jackson, the bishop, with us. Bishop Jackson, thanks for being with us on just another very difficult day for people trying to figure this out. Thanks for being with us.
John, it's always great to be with you. I wish I could say it's a pleasure to have to talk about this, but to be able to talk to you today. But because of the topic that we have to discuss, obviously it's not pleasurable. First of all, of course, we mourn for our dead and for the families that are affected, and I'll tell you something, that one caller really hit the nail on the head. This is what makes me so proud to be an American, to watch people put their own lives on the line, helping strangers to get to safety, to watch our first responders standing while they tell others to bend over and run and get out of the situation, and they're standing there prepared to take bullets so that others will be saved. I mean, that is the best of America. That, to me, is who we really are. And then you see these people who want to just jump on this and turn this into something political, and you just kind of shake your head and go, where did they miss the boat? Don't they understand what it means to be part of this great country and the way we rally together? But I'm just proud of those who faced that tragedy and responded so bravely. God bless them, but of course our hearts go out to them because it is one of the most horrific things that's ever happened to us as a country.
You know, Bishop Jackson, it really is, and just looking at this, and everybody had to deal with it, with their own family, talking about it and things of that nature, and people that we know that are out in the area. But, you can't help but look at this and say, we're just going towards a godless society. And I'm telling you, where there's no God, there's no moral compass of right and wrong. I'm not saying this guy was an atheist or anything like that, or to blame anything on anything, but we seem to have a higher percentage of these going on now. Guns have always been readily available. This isn't anything new. It's not like we just opened guns up for everybody. But one thing we've done is we've kicked God out of schools. We've kicked him out of everything. God's out. God's kicked out. And, you have to think, maybe when you're in a godless society, these type of things perhaps are more apt to happen. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. In fact, John, I've said repeatedly, when you throw God out, it means you also throw out truth. You say there is no absolute truth. The only thing that matters is what you feel. And I've said repeatedly, that is a dangerous place to go, because if there is no absolute right or wrong and feelings are preeminent, that's what counts, then people can do all kinds of horrendous things and justify it on the basis that that was the way they felt. And you're right. I think that's where we are. Thou shalt not murder. Anybody ever heard that one? That's an absolute commandment that's been given to us by God. But we've been told there is no God, there is no right or wrong, there is no truth. We just kind of make it up as we go along. And you're right. The Bible says you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. And so we do have some cultural soul searching to do, to come back to those fundamental principles of right and wrong that have made us the great nation that we are. So, yeah, I agree, John. We need an awakening in our country. As you know, I've been talking that for quite some time. We need to come back to the God that our founding fathers believed in when they established this nation that became the greatest nation on earth.
I don't think you can have a free society in a godless environment. I don't think it works. I mean, that's what I was thinking about in my drive up to Washington, at 2 a.m. today, which is when I leave, is that, can you have a free society without God's presence? I mean, the founding fathers, E.W. Jackson, they figured it out. They knew that in order for this whole thing to work, it would have to be a godly people. In one of Dave Bratt's works he had done, I remember when he was running against Eric Cantor, and I first got to know him, I did have a chance to read just some of his stuff. And I'll never forget, there was one white paper he did or something that I was reading. It was not a book, and it was on economics. And he said, markets are good and freedom is good, provided the people are good. If the people aren't good, capitalism, freedom does not work if people are bad. It sounds so dumb, but it's true, really. It really is. And I
Well,
don't know
I say the founding fathers began this experiment in self-governance, put the sovereignty of our country in the hands of the people where it belonged. And I say the first principle of self-governance is governing the self, that you don't need an overreaching, overwhelming government telling you what to do and how to do it, because you've got certain internal principles and conscience that help you navigate doing what is right and what is wrong and treating your neighbors fairly. There's been a lot of talk about the racial divide. We need to have a conversation about race. People say, I say, no, we don't. What we need to do is reestablish the principle, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. End of discussion. If we just did that, we'd solve a whole lot of problems in our country. And of course, that's the principle, the golden rule that Jesus gave us about how to behave toward one another. So, yeah, it's not really, Reagan used to say, the answers are not easy, but they are simple.
They are simple, no question about it. Does anybody remember, I just want to throw this out there, growing up, and you were taught that, God is everywhere, right? God sees everything. God knows what you're doing. He knows every hair on your head. He made you. And he knows what's going on. And ever have an episode where you were a younger person and you were at a store and you wanted something? Let's call it a candy bar, right? And there was nobody around, and you could easily have taken that candy bar back in those days, no cameras, and put it in your pocket, and no one would have known. You would have been able to have it instead of spending 5 or 6 cents, whatever it was when I grew up. But you would say to yourself, well, man, God's watching me. I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm sure everybody as a younger person has been through that. But now you take God out, that compass, it goes away because there's no accountability other than man's laws, right?
That's exactly right. In fact, you just reminded me of something. We used to teach our children, and people claim that these were myths, but I think that they were very important lessons. Remember, we used to teach our children how George Washington to chop down the cherry tree. And when his father asked him about it, he said, I cannot tell a lie. And how Abraham Lincoln walked many, many miles to return the change that a man had overpaid. And the whole point was to show that our founding fathers believed in the power of virtue and honesty and decency toward others. And now we're told, they were slave owners and they were bad people and we're going to ignore them and pull down their statues. Every underpinning that makes this nation virtuous is being ripped out from underneath us. And part of our quest, John, is to restore that, to not allow that to happen, but to restore those foundational principles because we need them as a nation.
Well, you're right. It's what I call the bastardization of the founding fathers, calling them slave owners, discrediting what they did, calling them looters, and some people call them rapists and things of that nature. And discrediting the founding fathers, you discredit the Constitution, you discredit the nation, you discredit the belief system. Everything is discredited, and then you have nothing, which is, I guess, what some people want, to just turn the United States into some kind of a third world country of atheism. I don't know what the goal is. I have no idea. But
I think, John, that the goal is the fundamental transformation of America into a socialist utopia. We've seen that tried. How's that worked out for people? Not very well. It's led to genocide, starvation, poverty, mass murder. You name it. Every wrong thing that's ever happened. I mean, you look at the history of Vietnam, of Cambodia, of China, of the Soviet Union, of Cuba, of Venezuela. You go right down the line, and everywhere this Marxist, collectivist, anti-God mindset has been taught, it's led to utter disaster for millions of people. And yet, some people in our country still think somehow if they do it, it'll work. Well, it won't. It never has. It never will.
Well, and they think they'll be the elites. I mean, the system is fine for the elites that run it. I mean, you look at any socialist or communist system, for the elites that are at top of the power chain in a dictatorial socialistic command economy, they get everything. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to be part of that system, you're absolutely fine. I want to get to the immediate politicization, E.W. Jackson, and that's who we're with here. Bishop E.W. Jackson with us here on the John Fredericks radio show. EW, you have this horrible event, and don't you want to give people a chance to just breathe and talk to their families? And instead, within hours, it's being politicized. It's being made into some event in order to get somebody's pet legislation crossed, or the blame game starts. I mean, did you find that as offensive as I did?
Well, and you know, of course, John, it went worse than that with this Haley Geftman Gold making these comments about not having any sympathy because they're at a country concert, so they're probably Republicans. So, in effect, they deserve to die. Or Richard Dawkins, the atheist, mocking a Southern accent, saying, yeah, he was just doing target shooting and acting like, we should all be glad about that. Or like conservatives or people who believe in the Second Amendment would be happy about this because the guy was exercising his Second Amendment rights. I mean, this is monstrous. Look, you know what I've said? I've said it is just as evil to mock the deaths of innocent people as it is to commit the murders, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you don't have enough compassion in your heart to say, wow, this is a horrible thing, it could have been me, it could have been my family, it could have been my daughter, my son, something's seriously wrong with you, and there's some evil in your heart that is virtually unfathomable, because the average American, our hearts just broke. And, my wife and I were talking about this. We never once said, well, I wonder how many of them are Republicans. I wonder how many are Democrats. I wonder how many are black. I wonder how many are white. We didn't think about any of that. All we thought about, these are our fellow citizens. Some madman has gone up and attacked them. And, oh, God, bring your peace, your healing, your help. And we began to admire what people were doing to help others in that situation, disregarding their own lives. And here you get these idiots who want to turn this into something political. I mean, it is about this as disgusting as it gets.
I couldn't agree more. It is just very disturbing, and it is disgusting. But look, we're going to end on a good note, E.W. Jackson, because I'm a Catholic, and today is one of my favorite days at our church because it is the Blessing of the Animals Day. And I love this when we take Sammy, our cat that goes in to get blessed by the Father, and he gets his holy water and he gets blessed. So it is the Blessing of the Animals Day for Sammy the cat. He's on his way there now with my son and the Fräulein. At least when I get back, my cat Sammy will have been blessed with holy water by the good Father. So we're going to end on that good note. Blessing of the Animals Day at St. Matthew's Catholic Church.
Listen. That is not something Protestants do, but I can tell you this: anything we love, God loves, and He loves our pets. And so I'm glad that the pets are going to be blessed. May they live long, and may their lives be peaceful and joyful and safe and secure. So God bless all the pets.
I love the Blessing of the Animals Day. I just think that is so much fun at St. Matthew's Catholic Church in Virginia Beach. Sammy's on his way right now to get blessed. Thank you for being with us, E.W. Jackson. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, John.